another tool that we can use is called scenario building, right? Scenario building is about, based on your pestle analysis, that is external environmental scanning, you write up stories about the future. This is kind of like futuristic. This is futuristic scenario building. So you're building scenarios for the future. You're writing up a narrative. You're writing up a story, how it will be in the future, based on the pestle analysis, the drivers that you've identified. And scenario building is a, I mean, I don't have all the time to sort of talk about how to do scenario building now. You can do that. But what I'm trying to say is that scenario building is another tool that you can use to evaluate your strategic choices, right? So here's an example that you like a popular example done by as it was done by the World Economic Forum. You know, this global organization called World Economic Forum. They are very sort of very progressive and very advanced in their scientific approach towards managing global problems, or at least, you know, sort of in their sort of discussion, discourse, research, analysis, predictions, recommendations. They're working with the world's top minds, political leaders, mathematicians, scientists. It's a fantastic organization, World Economic Forum. And this, from time to time, sort of they publish reports on scenarios, right? They did a scenario analysis for COVID, right? That famous curves, right? That we all saw. This is a scenario building that they have done based on the global geo-economic movement, right? So on this axis you have place of geo-economic and then power shifts. On this you have degree of international coordination on financial policy. So this is about, now we see that there's clearly a shift of economic power in the world, right? From west to east, right? So in the 18th, 19th, and major part of 20th century, we saw the West being the economic power base. But now we see that power position shifting from the west to east, China, India, sort of even Russia, right? Sort of becoming economic powerhouses. And when that happens, what will happen to the International Corporation of Financial Policy? Now, the global business runs on certain financial policies, from accounting standards, from sort of accepted principles, ethics, norms, right? There are sort of financial systems and policies that global business operates on, right? And what's going to happen to that? Now, based on that, so they say if the pace of geo-economic power shift is slow, okay, and the degree of international coordination of financial policy is harmonized, right? So around the world, the different countries will have these policies all sort of nicely harmonized, and the shift from west to east, it's slow. It doesn't happen fast. It happens slowly. Then what they say, a re-engineered Western centricism might appear. That means the Western financial policies. Right now, the world business is run by the Western financial policy architecture, right? Generally accepted accounting standards, and all these are sort of Western policies, right? They are the consumers, and sort of we, like you have Like if you are exporting stuff to the United States or to Europe, you have to comply to their standards, right? So they are the ones who are setting the standard. Now, if the shift now on the other side, if the shift, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Now, if the shift, if this change from west to east happens quickly, rapidly, right? And if the degree of if the financial policies are not harmonized, right, then we could see financial regionalism, they say. Financial regionalism. What that means is that different regions will have their own financial systems and policies, right? Different regions. And they will start operating within those regions the way that they want. So there will be sort of the global business. They envision that it might have this, it will not be global, it will have sort of regional structure. Now, if this happens rapidly, but if the policies are harmonized, if everybody sort of accepts and everybody sort of, coordinate and compromise and sort of, if they are harmonized, then rebalanced multilateralism. So you will see the West losing some of its dominance of policy. Some of the Eastern policies will also come, and it will sort of have kind of a balance, right? And multilateral approach could happen, right? Now, if it is slow change, shift, and if the policies are very sort of discordant, and if they're not harmonized, if they are sort of everybody's doing what they're, China is not budging. China says this is how we do business and that's it, right? You like it or not, we don't care, right? India says this is how we're going to do it, live with it, right? Africa will have their own thing, and Russia will say this is how we're going to do it, right? So if it is sort of discordant, right, if there's no harmony, then we will see eventually sort of moving into a fragmented protectionism, right? Sort of, like this is, both these are financial regionalism and fragmented protectionism are sort of bad places to be at in terms of global business, right? Because fragmented protectionism means that every country will try to sort of act protectively, right? And when this power, like, when China becomes a superpower, the East Asian countries around it will have a lot of insecurities, and sort of, they will be fragmented, and they will sort of try to protect their interests and so on, right? So I'm just giving you another very high level picture of scenario building. These scenarios are built based on a lot of information. They are not just, somebody sitting in a room and sort of creating these scenarios. They look at a lot of data. They look at trends. They look at population data, economic data, historical data, curves, cycles, technological changes, consumer pattern changes, and they look at all kinds of data. This big data analysis, right? Lots of experts sort of work on this and sort of create these stories, these narratives that are how the future might be, right? So these are called scenario building. And you can do the same thing in a company also. In a business, you can create based on your pestle analysis. You can also create scenarios for different strategies. If we take this particular strategy, if we sort of go into this particular market with our product, this is what will happen. You can write a story, right? If we don't expand into a market, this is what will happen, right? So you can create stories like that. Always to sort of to create a matrix like this, you need sort of two opposing factors, and that's how you create that. But again, I mean, I'm just giving you that knowledge. You might not want to do this for your assignment, but it's another tool that you can use.